This is Jonathan Nagioff here for Seconds Out. We're here in London today. I'm joined by the Haymaker, David Haye. How are you?
Very well, thanks. All is good, all is well. Healthy. Sun's not shining, but
nice little view over the Park Plaza there.
The view's nice still.
Let's get into the boxing year. It's been the year of the replacements. Obviously, Ruiz coming in for Jarrell Miller, Witherspoon on Saturday, replacing Spong. Slightly different situation with Parker. But what was your immediate reaction when you heard that Joseph Parker pulled out?
I was very disappointed. It was a fight that Dereck mentally really geared himself up for. He's fully aware how good Parker is. The fact that he holds that victory over Andy Ruiz Jr., who currently stands as the unified heavyweight champion. He had the opportunity to take that scalp. That's no longer the case. In terms of a credible fight, world credibility, this fight isn't as sexy as the Parker fight, but domestically, in terms of keeping the fans entertained, keeping the fans happy, for a British boxing fan, this is a dream fight. Two heavyweights who both shown vulnerabilities in the past, both had many ups and many downs, very controversial careers, find themselves in their mid-30s at a crossroads fight. Big show, big card, and I'm quietly confident this is going to be a British heavyweight classic.
We mentioned other opponents are in the mix. There's been talks of Rivas, Manuel Char. Was David Price a no-brainer when he said yes?
It was the guy who, when we talked to different people about what do you think of these fights, everyone was like, David Price just had that great win over Dave Allen. If he's training for a fight, which it was, then he's like, makes perfect sense. It's an easy fight to make. It's a fight where we know what we're going to get. Some of these other names that were plucked out of the hat, it's like, okay, on paper, but are they going to come to really bring it? Are they going to try and knock Dereck out really, or are they going to try and just fiddle him on points and nick it on a split decision? We wanted someone who's going to come out there and try and really go for Dereck and really try and bring out the best in him. When he's in fear, when he can feel that the heat of the battle breathing down his neck, he somehow raises his game. Just look at the intensity and the ferocity that he had those fights with Dillian Whyte. It wasn't because he thought Dillian Whyte was no good. No, he knew Dillian Whyte was good. That's why he went at him like he did. And he's got that feeling with David Price. He sparred with him in the past, so he's fully aware of how good he is. I've sparred many rounds with David Price, and he's a brilliant fighter. He's got great hand speed. His jab is one of the best in the business when he uses it, and I hope he doesn't use it too much on 26.
We mentioned earlier the vulnerabilities that David Price has shown in the past. He's coming off 3 credible wins against solid domestic opponents. Dereck has to be focused on the ball for this.
He is. Fortunately, he knows that. He's had a good eye on David Price. They know each other. After he beat Allen, he was really gave him a pat on the back and went to his change rooms and congratulated him. As it was a great feat. It was nice to see David Price, raising his game and showing that he's a level above the domestic fighters. Although Dave Allen had a decent win against Lucas Brown, David Price should be, if he's got any aspirations of doing something more in the sport, should be beating the likes of Dave Allen like he did do, just conclusively controlling the distance and really doing a number on him. And he punched lumps out of Dave Allen. Spirited effort, but I think his corner did the right thing in pulling him out, as he was only going to take some horrendous facial injuries, and nobody wants that.
You said earlier this has been the best camp you've had so far with Dereck.
Yeah.
How difficult has that been, considering what's been going on in the background? The Parker pullout, the change of trainer. Yeah. How important has your role been specifically in this camp? More than anything else?
No, my role's been very similar to how it normally is. Because Chisora's so experienced now, he knows just because he doesn't have an opponent today, doesn't mean he's not going to train as hard as he can. He knows at some stage we're going to get an opponent. These are the list of names it potentially could be, and all of them are tough fights. So don't need to go out having a bowl of ice cream and going to the cinema and put your feet up, eating popcorn. No, he's training just as hard. He's gone through those times in the past where he's been training for an opponent he doesn't know who it is, and he gets in there, he's a little flat, he was. For instance, when he fought Nagioff, there was no real fear. You kind of looked at him, fought Carlos Takam, knocked him out in a few rounds, thinking, I'll probably do the same. He didn't have that. They didn't have those butterflies in his stomach. He didn't have the feeling of if he gets it wrong a little bit, he could get put to sleep. And I think he underperformed. The next time against Artur Szpilka, he realised everyone's going, Dereck, man, you shouldn't really be taking this fight. And a lot of experts were going, Dereck's losing this fight. And that spurred him on. That whipped him up. It was like, okay, he's like, okay, everyone thinks I'm going to lose. I'm going to show them. And that's once again the same thing with Joseph Parker. He was an underdog against Parker, and he's like, I can win this fight. Watch, you'll see. And he's been training like that. And the fact that an opponent pulled out, as in Parker pulled out, he then was left with no opponent for a few days. That he actually cranked it up, not knowing who it was, and that for me was like, yeah, he's mentally crossed that threshold where he's a consummate professional now. And I don't believe he was in the past. As close as the Nagioff fight, he's so much more mentally in the right place now than he was back then. Physically, he was in a good place then, but mentally, he wasn't. He hadn't whipped himself up into that place of war, which he thrives in when he can get it all fired up.
Do we have an even better fight with David Price involved?
Obviously, potentially, Price is going to go for the stoppage. He's going to try and really hurt Dereck with those jabs, really try and sicken him and walk him onto a big uppercut, big right hand. That's what he's going to try and do. Dereck can't underperform. Anything other than his career best performance may not be enough to get through 6 rounds. So he's going to need to. If he does what he did in sparring yesterday, in the fight, we got no problems.
I mean, against Szpilka, he kind of showed something completely different. An early knockout. We haven't seen that for Dereck for a while.
That's because it's all about intent. It's all about mindset. He hasn't intended to knock anybody out in the first round. Not really. It's one thing saying it. It's another thing training to do it. Training to really put someone under pressure physically, break their body down, start with the body, come up with a headshot. Not just silly. We're talking full-blooded bombs. He's been doing it in training, he's been doing it in sparring, hitting the bags. He's got his body in a position where he can throw those bombs for 12 rounds. And he's never in his whole career been able to do that. He could do a 30-second spell one round, then go on the ropes, getting beat up for a while, come back off the ropes for a big finish to try and nick the round. No, that's the thing in the past now. He's paid the price in training and he's fully loaded for 12 rounds now.
You've remained quite coy over the training situation. Are we expecting an announcement possibly next week on Fight Week?
Or maybe. Probably you'll see who's in the corner. Maybe in the ring you'll see who's in the ring. Yeah, you'll get your maybe next week. I don't know. Maybe depends how it feels.